Hello, my name is Sharon Robson. I'm a consultant at SoftEd. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about leadership. The role of leadership in an agile adoption is crucial. Leaders need to set the tone of the environment, they need to establish the culture, they need to model the behaviours that we want everyone in the organisation to adopt. An agile transformation, indeed any transformation, any working practice change, has to be led from the top down. Leaders need to set the example, and leaders need to change the dynamics of information through the organisation. What we're looking for from leaders is the ability to set the vision, to set the standards of working practices, and to guide and coach their teams through the adoption of these working practices. Leaders need to be involved in an agile change program right from the beginning. I like to start any transformation from the top down. Now, the reason this is so important is because leaders actually set the vision. They allow us to understand the why. What is the rationale behind this change that we're about to induce? Leaders then can help us understand more about what's happening inside the organisation, the context that the change needs to take. And leaders, luckily, are the people who have the most visibility of all of the aspects of the organisation. We need that visibility and transparency so that we can make sure that any of the changes that we're inducing are actually valuable, and we can see the impact of that change on the wider organisation. Leaders are also crucial all the way through the transformation to continue to send the message of the change, to help people keep recontacting with the vision statements, with the outcomes we're trying to achieve. Leaders should also lead the celebrations. When we are doing the transformation and we're mapping our change over time, we need to have those stop points where we stop and reflect and consider where we've been and what changes we've made. And leaders being able to talk about the changes and the value of the change, to articulate how powerful the change has been, is very, very important. We need to build a narrative of that change, and we need the narrative, the information, the story of the change to become part of the corporate culture. We don't want to pretend it's not happening, so we need to grab onto it. Leaders help information move through the organisation and help the change information, that change story, be told as well. Leaders are also a reflection point of the change and how the change is going. Teams will engage with their leaders, and leaders can help take the temperature of the team and help the team understand what's happening and why, as well as help the team deal with any of the challenges that they're facing. Because we're asking such a lot from leadership, leadership needs to be prepared to change. And I don't mean that you have to stop being who you are, and I don't mean that you're going to lose your position or anything like that. No, that's not the type of change I'm talking about. The change is in your mindset and your attitude, and it's about communication and widespread information dissemination. What we're looking for from leaders is the embodiment of a change mindset. Indeed, a growth mindset. Recognizing that we don't have all of the answers can be one of the first things that a leader struggles with, especially when your team is looking to you for the answers. So we look at how we can empower leaders to say, I don't know. Let's find out. We look at how we can empower leaders to have really powerful feedback loops so they can get feedback from their teams, from their peers, and from the rest of the organisation. This feedback is the information that helps us make better, more profound, more meaningful decisions. The other major change, or the preparation that a leader may have to go through, is around decision making. Transformations for working practices these days are all about increasing decision velocity. Oftentimes we're concerned about making a decision just in case we're wrong. What we want to do is make lots and lots and lots of frequent small decisions so that we can continue to keep momentum, we can keep moving. And we want leaders to be confident, proud, and able to make decisions. But we also need leaders to be resilient. The odds are every now and then we're going to make a wrong decision. So we want the leaders to build that safe environment where we can make decisions and occasionally be wrong, but learn from the decisions. Building that learning culture, building that safe culture, and building that culture that is about proactive decision making is vital in our leadership roles. Going through a big change program is quite daunting. So my advice to leaders is be part of the change program, be actively involved, make it yours. To be invested in the change means that you actually do have to commit to the change and understanding why we're doing the change. And most of us are happy to do that. But what we really want is that deep values commitment. And we want leaders who are focused on achieving the value outcome. For a leader, we need to recognise the amazing things that you've done to get you and your teams and the organisation to this position. Recognise and celebrate that. And then recognise and celebrate the fact that you're prepared to change what you do to move you to the next stage. An organisation needs to be fluid and flexible. So we're looking for leaders who are fluid and flexible in their thinking and their approaches. They're able to learn and adjust and grow. The way that we work these days is very different. We've gone from being a mechanical working environment, moving to knowledge workers, and now we need to move to becoming a learning organisation. As leaders, we need to learn. We need to learn from our competitors, we need to learn from the marketplace, we need to learn from each other, from our peers, from our leadership structures, but also from our teams. So as a leader, we need to think about how we can manage the flow of information into our environment and how we can effectively disseminate information out. To support the new ways of working, leaders need to change in many ways. One of the first ones is they need to be open to feedback, and they need to actively seek out feedback and information from their teams, and they need to engage with their teams in a safe and open dialogue. So being aware and dialed into what's happening in your team is key. Being able to understand and interpret the information that they're giving you is also key. The other thing that a leader needs to do is be prepared to be flexible, be prepared to change how they work, where they work, and when they work. It means pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone because you're going to ask your team to do the same thing. Collaboration is also another thing that leaders really need to dial into, to be part of the conversations. And collaboration is very difficult to do, particularly when you're time poor, when you have your goals to meet, when you have your agendas to deliver. As a leader, we need to build slack into our working practices. And as a leader, you've got to allow your team to have slack in their working practices. I'm not saying take every Tuesday afternoon off or anything like that. We need time to think. As an organisation and as leaders, if we are constantly working flat out, we're not actually thinking. And our teams need us to think, to learn, and to grow. So as a leader, think about how much time you allocate yourself to thinking, how much time you allocate yourself to preparing, and how much time you allocate for information consumption. Spreadsheets, reports, dashboards. You need time to interpret that information, and you need time to understand what it actually means. Because the job of a leader is to consider, to set direction, and to guide the team in a good direction. We want leaders who aren't reactive, we want proactive. We want leaders who are not off the cuff, we want consideration. We want leaders who are risk aware, not risk adverse, and have a tolerance for learning and adjusting as we go. So these modern ways of working require changes in leadership. And it's one of the great adages we have. The thinking that got us here is not the thinking that's going to get us there. As leaders, it means that we have to be open to extending our skills in different directions, in places we never thought we would have to go. It's a real mindset shift where you're used to being the answer giver and you expect your team to come to you and you will solve the problems for them. What we're looking for and what we need is, as a leader, you need to help your team learn how to solve the problems. And it can actually be incredibly empowering to your team if they come to you with a problem and you say, I don't know. What do we think we can do about it? It means that you're actually respecting the team and you're looking for their input into this situation. Collaborative leadership is hard. It means that you are always looking for an alternate to what you think. This takes time and this takes energy. And it can also be a bit ego-denting sometimes. But we want our teams and our team members to be resilient. We want people to try new things, experiment and learn and adjust. As leaders, we have to do the same thing. So we've got to open ourselves up to the potential of not always being right, not always having the answer. We want to leverage the amazing group of people we work with, though, and we make sure, as leaders in these new ways of working, that we always look for the dissenting opinion. We always look for someone who has a different perspective. We research outside of the organisation. How are others doing it? And we open up decisions to other people. Good agile leadership is remarkably simple, but not easy. Because from a good agile leader, we expect the behaviours of agility. We expect growth mindsets, we expect collaboration, we expect rapid decisions being made, we expect distribution of power, shared engagement. We expect communication and collaboration as the norm. That's what we expect. That's not easy. It's not complicated, but it may be a different way of working and it may involve different behaviours from a leadership perspective. We may have to do workshops instead of meetings. We may have to spend time going to showcases. We want to engage in the retrospectives. We want to go to our planning sessions and we want to walk the wall, walk the floor, walk with the team so we can build collective and shared understanding of what is happening. As an agile leader, you're embedded in the team, but you are not there to give direction. It's about being embedded in the team to share information and allow the team to set the direction. Agile leadership needs to be open and accessible to the teams, and what we're looking for is an engagement model that breaks down silos and breaks down barriers between information transfer. We want agile leaders to share the decision making, the responsibility and the accountability. We want agile leaders to set the standard for cultural behaviours. We want agile leaders to drive the vision statement. We want agile leaders to be strong on purpose for the change that we're making. And we want agile leaders to be empathetic. We want them to be open to feedback. We want agile leaders to reach out to their teams. We want agile leaders to be coaches. We want agile leaders to be listeners. This is not hard, but it requires deliberate practice. You have to be self-aware and you have to be conscious of how you interact with the people around you. We're looking for a change. It's a subtle change, but we're looking for an openness and we're looking for an engagement model that is based on empathy, an engagement model that is based on collaboration, and an engagement model that allows us to share and grow information and knowledge.